LABI, the head guru, will be in studio with us. And we'll talk about this constitutional convention that I think is being shoved down our throat. But I'm a minority in this one. I am a big-time minority in that, as you know. And I told you at the beginning I will be the one to get beat up on it. But I just got a lot of questions. So hopefully we'll get some of those answers from the LABI CEO, Stephen Waguespack. So I don't think I've ever met him, so get a chance to meet with him. He will be in studio, by the way. So we'll get a chance to visit with him. Also, they tell me Monday, Senator David Vitter, who is one of the lobbyists for the Constitutional Convention, will be on the program with me Monday, and I'm really looking forward to that as well. So anyway, we got a lot going on, and let's jump gears. Senator Bill Cassidy joins us. Senator Cassidy, how you doing, sir?
Moon Griffon, I am fantastic, man.
Well, good, man. I'm glad everything's going well. I mean, I know I never did get your take on this, and I don't have to on the Trump and what's going on. I mean, just one question: does this bother you like it's starting to bother people? And I'm not talking about against Trump. It just bothers the way this is all coming down. Does it bother you at all? I know none of y'all have really made a lot of comments on it. Maybe you shouldn't. Maybe you should. But it's starting to really bother me the way all this is going down because Hillary and Obama and the Justice Department were able to do whatever they wanted to when Obama was in office, and a lot of it illegal, it looks like. Does it bother you at all, or just your comment on it, then we'll move on?
You're talking about the investigation.
Yeah, the whole investigation. I'm just asking, off the record.
It really bothers me. I mean, it really bothers me. I mean, Mueller was appointed to investigate a crime, and now it seems like he's investigating a person.
Yeah.
And the whole Stormy Daniel thing, it speaks for itself. On the other hand, it's got nothing to do with Russian collusion.
Yeah, that's the thing about it is when Mueller took over this thing, why wasn't it defined? Here's what you can investigate: anything to do with collusion. Anything to do with collusion. And that's why I'm asking if it's bothering you, because it's bothering people every day that they continue to go along with this charade.
So there's this private citizen after they raid Cohen's office who just happened to be a fundraiser for the Republican Party, who Cohen had helped fix some relationship. It's a messy scene. It's ugly, etc. But it's between a private citizen and another private citizen, and there was nothing involved with anything, and the information's released. Now, as unseemly as it is, whatever this guy was doing, having a lawyer fix his affair for him, it's a private matter. It's not illegal. That should not have been released to the public.
Yeah, but I think you touched upon something, though, Senator. You touched upon something. This is personal. I don't think there's anything to do with legal. I don't think it's anything to do with anything to do with anything. I think it's all personal. We don't like Trump. We don't like an outsider. This is the deep state. This is the swamp, and I'll be dang. I mean, look at Comey. Look at Clinton. Look at Obama. Look at the Justice Department. They use the IRS on people. They use the FBI on people. They use the I mean, wow, what does a citizen like me or Brandon Como have a chance, if you're not some multi-millionaire, billionaire, to even fight anything with people like this?
No matter what your political party, you may hate Trump, but this is going too far afield, way too far afield. And by the way, after the Ken Starr investigation, on a bipartisan basis, folks say, Ken was supposed to investigate this. It ended up spending way out of it, cost millions of taxpayer dollars, took several years. It just went too far. We've learned our lesson. And on a bipartisan basis, people said, let's rein it in. And some provisions are put to rein it in. You investigate a crime, not a person. And now it seems like we're in the same situation. This is just too much, man.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, Senator Bill Cassidy. All right, Pompeo's in. Talk a little bit about him.
Pompeo's a good man.
By the way, they were trying to say that he might not make it, but he actually got, I think, 58 votes, which right now in this time and day, that's a pretty good number of votes.
When the guy graduates first in his class at West Point, he graduates from Harvard Law School. By the way, he never told me that. We knew each other. We were on the committee, sat next to each other. And he never mentioned any of that. So he's kind of a regular guy, too. He's the kind of guy that you would sit and watch a game with. And people are just going after him, and they're going after him just because he's Trump pick. He's eminently qualified at a time when we need a foreign policy team in place. And folks who are opposing him, I just thought that, again, was beyond the pale.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, once again, he ended up getting 58 votes. In this day and time with the division in Washington, 58 probably wasn't a bad number.
I can tell you, Republicans voted for John Kerry and Hillary Clinton not because they approved of them, but rather because they figured on foreign policy the president should be able to pick his team. Mm-hmm. So we've got a long tradition of folks getting 74 votes and 89 votes and 96 votes. So I'm glad we got 58, but it should have been more.
Yeah, no doubt about it. But, hey, he's done. All right, Kyle Duncan confirmed, and is he already confirmed and done?
He is confirmed, done. For folks who don't know of Kyle, he's a Louisiana man who has just incredible judicial temperament. He's represented cases that have gone to the Supreme Court, including the LABI case, which is why the left hated the guy. And also they hate him because he's so good, they fear that he'll be very influential. He's in his 40s. He's now been appointed. The president nominated him. We finally got him through the Senate to the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals based in New Orleans. And again, as a young man, he could serve on there for 35 years. Just a generational change, a fantastic jurist. One person who voted against him told me he's good. He could be on the Supreme Court one day. So I think Louisiana can be proud. It was a struggle to get him through, but we got him through. Great pick by the president.
Yeah. Now, I want to throw one more at you. Wendy Vitter, has she, I know she went through the process. Have they voted her up and down? What's the chances of her becoming a federal judge?
We've not had a floor vote yet. I think we will get Wendy through. But again, as you can imagine, the resistance hates Donald Trump. That's number one. Number two, they don't like pro-life judges. Number three, they really don't like women pro-life judges because that defeats their narrative that you can't be a smart woman and be a conservative.
And by the way, Wendy Vitter, as I watched some of this, she left no doubt what she was. She was a pro-lifer. She didn't try to hide it or nothing. She just stood up. She laid up. She didn't care what they thought.
Well, let's face it. She's been the counsel for the Catholic diocese based in New Orleans for a number of years. Mm-hmm. But her resume speaks for itself. She was a prosecutor when she first came out. And she tells me that they were laying people off, didn't have enough money. She took a part-time job at McDonald's so that she could continue to be a prosecutor. Wow. She just wanted to do it so much. At some point, she moved on in her law practice, but for a number of years, that's what she did. So she's seen a whole breadth of criminal law and religious liberty law, etc. She's going to be a great pick, but the left hates her.
Oh, it's no doubt. But it's no doubt she'll pass. It seems like that's not going to be a problem.
You know, I think it'll be pretty much a party line vote. She's going to get 50 votes. But I think she'll be appointed. But, you know, I never count chickens until they're home roosted. Well,
when's the vote? You think the vote should be soon? I mean, they've already went through the committee. I mean, what does it normally take?
Yeah,
a few weeks, a month, what?
We got a whole lineup of folks. We're gonna, when we come back, I think we're going to vote on 6 different circuit court judges. You know, like 5th Circuit, 9th Circuit, 11th Circuit, just one step below the Supreme Court. So that's going to be the priority. I don't know when this has got it lined up. You know, one thing that's been going on, Moon, we've talked about it before, but Schumer has been doing everything he can, Chuck Schumer, to delay our process, requiring 30 hours of debate. And so we finally broke that log jam, but there's kind of a backlog, if you will, of getting people through.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if it's still going slow in the process because of the left.
It is still, it's going a lot better than it was. But again, we got a backlog. So even though it's going better, we got to work through the backlog.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Senator Bill Cassidy, my special guest. Take a quick break, come back, wrap up with Senator Cassidy, 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline, Trump's approval, 50%, Brandon, staying right up there. Nobody's buying into this craziness that's happening in Washington. All right, we'll take a break, be right back. You're listening to the Moon Griffon Show. Hi, y'all. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline, Senator Bill Cassidy. My special guest, and we're talking about kind of what's going on in Baton Rouge, and I'm sorry, Washington, not Baton Rouge. Now, those days are over. All right. We had tax reform, and I know you got an effort to protect tax reform. What is the protection for? What do they think they're trying to do?
In terms of the tax reform package?
Yes, sir.
So the left, so Schumer and Pelosi want to repeal it. Now we're seeing people getting more money in their paycheck, more take-home pay. We're seeing small businesses getting more money to reinvest in their companies. We're getting job growth like we haven't seen job growth for 8 years. Wages starting to increase. People making long-term capital investment, which means that we're going to have further job growth and further wage growth. And Schumer and Pelosi want to repeal it. You're thinking, my gosh, you must have just gone to Denver.
That was my first thought. She was living in Denver now.
Yeah, totally. So we just got to beat this back.
Yeah, what part of everybody prospering, a lot of people prospering and having more money, what part of that do they not like? That's what I don't understand.
What they don't like is they're afraid. They are so sure they're going to win in November in the Senate and the House races. And the left is so energized. What they don't want is for the conservatives to say, wait a second, they're threatening us. We're getting better paychecks, we're getting better jobs, and we're going to go out and vote to protect it. They want everybody a little confused. Well, maybe it's not working for me, because then the anger of the left against Trump will carry them to majorities in the House and the Senate. And it's a mess, man, but we on the right need to get engaged, because otherwise they're going to do every trick they can, including threatening the prosperity that has come along with the Trump presidency in order for them to get back in political power.
So, Senator Cassidy, this is Brandon Como, and I'm curious, along the lines of what we're talking about here with the prosperity, did you see yesterday that there was a poll that came out that is actually showing that millennials are starting to turn away from Democrats and starting to turn more towards Republicans, and they're doing so because they believe that Republicans have more sound financial ideas. I think that's very interesting as it relates to the conversation that you and Moon are having right now when it comes to the tax cuts and why Democrats are trying to repeal it.
Hey, man, millennials are about freedom. They want the ability to prosper, just like everybody else. And they got a little bit different terms as it comes, but nonetheless, that's what they want. Now, we had a lot of millennials postponing marriage. If they were married, postponing kids. Living in parents' basements because they couldn't afford a home. And all of a sudden, you see the job market blossoming. And you see opportunity. And you see people getting married. You see folks having kids. There is an optimism that has come along. Now, my gosh, millennials are smart. They're going to look up and say, all of a sudden, I got a little extra money in my pocket. I can start thinking about buying a house. That's a good thing. I'm hoping that they will vote that way come November, because I can tell you, if Pelosi and Schumer take back over, they want to reverse the strides we've made.
No doubt about it. Couple quick things before I let you go. Opioid crisis. Anything being done with that yet? My question is, can anything be done?
Yeah, absolutely, things can be done. There's several aspects to it. One aspect, we're working on increased treatment. We're working on making sure that the people treating are accountable for the best practices. We're trying to decrease the supply. One thing that my office is doing that's a little unique, we're also looking at how the cartels finance the drug trade. Mexican cartels move about $110 billion with a B dollars a year from the United States to Mexico. Our federal government captures about $7 billion of it. So chump change, if you will. They're moving at least $100 billion a year by all reports. If we can capture that money, we put a crimp on the cartel's ability to move drugs. And wouldn't it be great if we capture more of that money, we use it to build a wall? It wouldn't be the Mexican government paying for the wall. It would be the Mexican cartels, and that's probably the better group to pay for it. But we would secure our border and put a crimp on illegal drugs flowing to our country. That's what we're working on.
Yeah, be interesting to see, how to shut that down. I know it's a big problem. Some people say they need their drugs. I don't think you're really talking about people like that, but I think you're talking about the overuse and the misuse of it.
People with chronic pain need relief from their chronic pain. Mm-hmm. But there's a family that was in Baton Rouge, has moved to Lafayette, lost their 17-year-old boy. The day he came out of rehab, the pusher finds him. The pusher finds him and wants to keep a customer, gives him something laced with fentanyl. The kid's just after 2 weeks of rehab, still not prepared for the real world, ends up relapsing, takes the drug, and he dies. 17-year-old boy dies from illegal drugs. I mean, that story is told over and over. We got to stop that.
Yeah. All right. Senator Bill Cassidy, thank you so much. We'll visit again.
Thank you, man.
All right. Appreciate the call. All right. We got to take a break. By the way, don't forget later, Mr. Waguespack of LABI will join us, and we want to visit with him about the Constitutional Convention. All right. Got to take a break. Be right back. So, by the way, we are expecting, matter of fact, a young lady out here, already here, for Stephen Waguespack, CEO of LABI. He'll be in studio with us coming out of the 10:30 break, and you'll have an opportunity to visit with us. But before we do all that, we got another guest. Mr. Brian Bond joins us with SWEPCO, and of course, Brian, how you doing? First of all,
well, I'm doing great. How about you, man?
Doing fine, Brian. Quick, I'm gonna jump forward. We can back up a second. When is the Public Service Commission going to meet on this before you get into it? Because I know that they're talking about doing a meeting. Is a meeting set yet dealing with the wind energy project and what y'all trying to do?
Well, the meeting that we anticipate Windcatcher being considered at is on May the 16th. And since our last discussion in early April, the Louisiana Public Service Commission staff and SWEPCO reached a settlement regarding the terms of the project to guarantee the benefits to our customers. And the administrative law judge will issue a report that will then go to the commission for the Louisiana Public Service Commissioners to make their decision.
Yeah, y'all having it on my birthday. That's so nice of y'all.
well, I like that. Maybe that'll bode well for us.
I was about to say that's so sweet of y'all to do that on my birthday. Anyway, okay, Brian, and talk about the Windcatcher. Talk about what you're trying to accomplish. And I got some questions. People fired some questions to me. I'll throw them at you. But what are you trying to do? What is this about? Okay. So people will know what y'all are trying to do. Whether they agree or disagree is not the point here. I want to know what are y'all trying to do and accomplish.
Okay, that's we certainly can hopefully inform the audience today on what we're trying to do. What we're proposing to do is for AEP SWEPCO, which is operated in Northwest Louisiana, East Texas, and Arkansas, and our sister company, Public Service Company of Oklahoma. We're going to acquire a 2,000 megawatt wind farm under construction in the Oklahoma Panhandle in Cimarron and Texas counties. We will construct a 360-mile dedicated generation tie line, which will move the energy into the Tulsa market, and from there it will be distributed through the electrical grid to our customers in Arkansas, Louisiana, and Texas. And so our 550,000 customers at SWEPCO will benefit immensely from this project in the way of lower electric rates as a result of the savings that the project will come to bear. So we're excited about it and have a lot of positive developments going on, and we believe it's going to be great for economic development. It's going to be great for our customers. As you know, in Louisiana, have a lot of low-income customers. We also have a lot of seniors on fixed incomes, and so this will help them. And it'll just be a great project once we get all of the approvals, which are moving along pretty well.
Well, Brian, let me ask a quick question. Is there money to come out of the customer's pocket up front, but in the long run they get a break? How does that work? Because there are people that ask me, well, hold up, though. This is going to cost money out of our pocket. We'll never get it back. How do you answer that? Because this has been fired at me as we've had the conversation. And what me and you are doing is basically having a conversation.
Right, and I think that's a great question. And so what's going to happen is the cost of the project, which are $4.5 billion roughly, will be shared with our customers in the 3 states. So we'll go in after project's online and it's constructed and it's what they call used and useful. We'll go into our commissions. We will, at that point in time, we'll pursue a rate increase in our base rates, and our customers will pay that. But where the offset's going to come in is there's not going to be any fuel costs because the wind itself does not cost anything, and it's significant. We're talking a 2,000 megawatt project. So the cost savings over the life of the project and even in like year one are going to be passed along immediately to our customers, which it will also include the full value of the federal production tax credits that we'll receive as a result of the project coming online. So our customers, it's a win-win because even though they're paying for the initial capital investment that we're going to make, that we'll get the capital from our shareholders who are putting that up for a reasonable rate of return, then they in turn will end up getting the cost savings back more than double over the life of the project as a result of not having any fuel costs, whereas our coal plants or our natural gas plants, we're either having to ship coal in from Wyoming or we're having to get natural gas and have it delivered via pipelines, which is much more expensive. So that's how it's planning to work, and the production tax credits will be spread out during the first 10 years. Those will be put in a reserve so that over the full life of the 25-year project, the customers continue to see that benefit so that there's not a spike after 10 years and they see their rates go up. All of that.
Well, my question is, what's the average increase, say, to a customer, and how long does that increase go for before they see the savings?
They'll see the savings in the first year. So
but you said they had an increase. You said they had an increase. That's why I was curious. What kind of increase?
Like the base rates will. Yeah. We've got two portions of our bill.
Okay.
The first portion is the base rates, which that's where the capital investments go. So they'll see an increase in their base rates on their bill, but it will be offset on that same month that they receive the bill by lower fuel costs over what they've been paying. So when you take the two into account, the fuel savings will be greater than what they're going to be paying incrementally in the base rates. So overall, their bill goes down.
So if they're paying $100, they might be paying $95.
Yeah,
I'm just using that as an example now. That may not be a perfect example, but
no, that's a great way to put it. That's exactly right. So they'll see their rates go down, and those rates will continue through the life of that project as far as that particular project.
Yeah, one of the other questions, and I don't know how to ask this, but I'll do the best I can. They said y'all do with tax subsidies for the projects, about 50%, but they said that Louisiana homeowners renewable tax subsidies, that was lobbied against the individuals from being able to get that. Is that any truth to that, or is that just somebody just thinking that's the way it went down?
Well, I think what the caller is, or whoever posed the question, is there were some very lucrative subsidies for solar installations, not wind, but solar in Louisiana. Correct. And so the Louisiana legislature, at the time when we got into budget situations, they no longer could afford, the taxpayers couldn't subsidize that. So what they did is they phased out those credits, and they were very lucrative. They were like 50%, and then you had on top of that another 20% roughly, or 25% from the federal government. That was so individual coming in and installing rooftop solar would only have to pay about 25 cents on a dollar.
I remember that.
Yeah, so that's what they're referring to. So that's in the solar world, it's called an investment tax credit federally. It is subsidized, but in the wind world, it's called a production tax credit. And so those two are being phased out, and that's why we wanted to try to take advantage of this opportunity and secure those production tax credits associated with Wind Catcher, so that our customers here in the state of Louisiana, Arkansas, and Texas could benefit from that, and it would lower their costs. So we are, relying on the investment tax credits to bring a lot of value to our customers and help lower their overall energy cost.
So you telling me that overall, and I'm just trying to get this right for the person, you talked about poor people and people on fixed incomes. Overall, their first bill, you think they'll be the same or maybe a little less when they pay their first bill?
Right. When they pay their first bill, that first year, they're going to see an overall decrease in their bills as a result of Windcatcher. And so then over the next couple of years, they'll even see more of a benefit the way that they're phasing in the production tax credits. So it's not insignificant. I mean, we're talking, anywhere from, and this is after including what they're paying extra in the base rates, it's being more than offset, of course, by these fuel costs, the lower fuel costs or no fuel costs plus the tax credits. They'll end up with a savings of probably 8 to 9% on their bills.
And I think the bottom line is that's going to be the bottom line. The bottom line is the bottom line.
Absolutely, no doubt about it.
People don't want an increase, and
they do not want it. Yes,
with taxes and all that stuff, they're looking for a break. Is what they're looking for.
Well, that's exactly right, and that's the beauty of this project is we have agreed as a corporation to a cap on our construction costs, which reduces exposure to our customers. We've guaranteed that 100% of the federal production tax credits will go back to our customers, and then we've even gone so far as to guarantee a minimum output from the wind turbines, which there will be 800 of these 2.5 megawatt wind turbines spread over 300,000 acres out in the Oklahoma Panhandle. We're guaranteeing that the wind's going to blow a certain amount, and if it doesn't, we as a company are taking on that risk, not the customer.
Yeah. All righty, Brian, we do appreciate it, man. We'll continue to talk. I'm curious to see how the vote comes out, but so you're telling me in about 2 weeks we'll know.
That's exactly right. May 16th will be hopefully a very positive day for the project, and thank you very much for your time and for your interest in our project.
Yeah, I'm just curious to see how this all breaks down. So, all right, good luck to you.
Thank you very much.
All right, we got to take a break. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. We'll take a break. You're listening to the Moon Griffon Show. We'll be right back. Well, I'm just saying, Brad, give me a break here. Golly, I introduce you to a guy, and I give you a plug. And all of a sudden you
got to own it when you got it, man. You got to own it when you got it.
Well, I just appreciate it.
Welcome back to the program, Stephen Waguespack. Of course, he is the CEO of LABI. And by the way, I had when Juno was the LABI guy, I had him on many times. I told somebody I don't think I've ever met you before, and if I have, I apologize.
No, I don't think so either. No. Obviously, I've listened for a long time, and big fan of most of the things you say.
You're smiling because she's over there laughing, but I'm not going to say who that is. She's actually a sweetheart. I'm going to leave it at that. Anyway, all right, Stephen, I read some of the things you said. I understand the gist of what they're trying to do with the Constitutional Convention, but without me putting words in your mouth, why do you think it's important? Now, I think it's a bad thing, but
sure.
I'm going to give you my reasons in a minute, but why do you think it's important, and what do you think we're going to accomplish, just in your own words?
Yeah, and let me build up to it a little bit if you don't mind. Sure, so, I mean, so we represent employers all around the state, people trying to come here, invest, and grow, and it is a growing number of companies, big and small, who are basically, they're just saying, look, it's too uncertain, too unpredictable. Louisiana is hard to invest in, and that's a concern for me because that's where we get, prosperity for everybody. And so as we back channel on that, every year at the session, it's the same thing. It's the same version of the crisis.
For about 40 years.
More than that, I'd say. And what they always say is, look, we got no other options. It's either these bad cuts or these bad taxes, and, pick your poison every single year. And we act surprised every single year we got this version of the cliff coming. And I say we got to get out of the Groundhog Day. And so if you go back and look at the Constitution, basically in the 20s, we drafted our first version of it, the same decade that brought us Huey and the consolidation of the power at the Capitol. And in the 70s, we redrafted it. That's when Edwin took charge. We had oil and gas flowing in the state. There's a lot of money here. And so we basically took that 1920s model. We put a moat around it and a brick wall around it. We fortified it. The Capitol was going to be the kingmaker for everything. And then in the last 45 years, I think you look back and say, okay, what's this 80-year model given us? And I think it's given us, schools that don't meet our demand, roads that aren't working, an economy that's boom or bust, a government that continues to grow and grow and grow. We're the highest per capita state spender in the South. The bottom 4 states in the South, Texas, Georgia, Florida, and Tennessee.
By the way, I wish, and I've been saying that for a while, I wish you would explain this to the governor and all those guys when they keep saying, well, we're a low tax state. We spend a lot of money. We're the
highest per capita spender in the South. And the bottom 4 states are the ones that are winning in the South. Those are the ones with the better schools and the better roads and the better economies, and they're not doing it by spending out of the capital. I think it's because they've got more local autonomy. They're allowing their locals to live and die by their own decisions. They don't expect the state to come in and be mama bird for everything. And that's where we've had for 100 years here. And so when you look at a constitutional convention, it's a document filled with tripwire and straitjackets. And we do think it's time to go in and make our Constitution look more like the federal Constitution, which is a document of principles. We view our state Constitution as a safety deposit box. Anytime we have a good idea, we throw it in the Constitution and say, there, no one will touch it going forward. That's why it's been amended 186 times in 44 years, because It's just a safety deposit box. And if you trim it down, make it principles, and we get some of that power out of that capital and bring it closer to the people, we think we got a better chance of making good decisions.
Now, you said a lot, and this is what I want to go to next.
I always talk too fast.
No. I'm glad you did that, and the fact that I could ask the question of what specific. Name some specifics for me, because this is why I'm frustrated with this right now.
Sure, I get it.
I'm not getting any specifics. What I'm getting, let's get there and let's get specific. And this is one of the driving points. You mentioned the budget. And they say, well, all these dedicated funds, it's hurting our budget. We can't do it. You've heard this. You've read it. You might have even said it. But the fact is, they were dedicated. Lawmakers came to us and said, we want X amount of dollars. We said, we'll do it if you dedicate it.
Sure.
That's why it is like it is. Then they blame the process. They come back and say, oh, this is screwed up. Well, who screwed it up? I mean, if I voted for tax and I voted for a dedication, I wanted it dedicated. So now we get to this point of, this is the driving force, is the dedication. Let me just be blunt with you, and this is what I want you to help me with
Please
specifics.
Do.
Yeah. Have you looked at what's dedicated? Higher ed, education, health care, and some other things, security. Stephen, they had a bill a few years ago, Brett Guyman and Lance Harris. They wanted to undedicate everything, and they got their rear ends beat bad. They got beat up. So when I hear people talk about dedications, undedicating the money, I think they're full of crap. They're not going to undedicate that money, because if you undedicate all that money in the Constitution, and you have to, remember, it's got to be ratified by the people.
Sure.
You're going to bring this back, and all this money that got undedicated, these people are going to beat the heck out of the Constitutional Convention, and you wasted your time. So talk about the dedicated money and undedicated money, because it's not going to happen like you. I'm saying you, but like people are talking about.
Well, higher ed and healthcare, the two that you mentioned on the dedications, those are the two that, quite frankly, don't have any protection in the budget. So every year when you got a $30 billion budget, and it's really $3.5 billion that's unprotected, they're the ones that are left twisting in the wind. That's why every year it's either TOPS, or LSU football, or hospitals who are used as the hostage to go and get more taxes. And so I would argue those dedications aren't helping what we think are our priorities.
But let me just throw this at you.
Please do.
Department of Health, $127 million dedicated. Department of Public Safety, $112 million dedicated. Department of Education, $104 million dedicated. Higher Education, $66.8 million dedicated. The lotteries, $159 million dedicated to education. The MFP formula, dedicated. You're not going in this Constitution to undedicate all that. And I want you to go back to what I'm talking about, because I want to be on the same page. Okay? This is why they're driving it to have the Constitutional Convention. And I'm telling you, when they have the Constitutional Convention, they're not going to undedicate all this stuff. That's what bothers me. We're not talking about what I really think this is about.
Now, when you say those funds are dedicated to education, I would say, what part of education? I
don't have to break down. But let me tell you,
I'm telling you,
I got it coming. I'll have it probably by Monday.
Please do.
Go ahead.
Please do, because a lot of times those dedications, what you'll hear out of Baton Rouge is, well, that's going to education. The question is, what is it? Because right now, I've got a higher ed system that is bigger and more bloated than our state needs. We need more kids going to 2-year schools, not 4-year schools, but you can't really redirect a lot of that because the Constitution has tripwire in it. We got an MFP that doesn't really meet a lot of the needs of what our families need. Do I need more early education? Do I need more career and technical training? Do I need to shift some of those dollars around? You can't really touch it because the Constitution guarantees where those dollars are going, not really what it's going to. And so there's no flexibility to amend some of this stuff. And so it's not just a matter of who the check is going to. The question is, what flexibility do we have to adjust over time to spend it wisely? And if I can't spend it where I need to in 2-year schools as compared to 4-year schools, or if I can't spend it on how we want to educate kids today with more choice options as compared to just the old brick buildings with the old pension obligations, Well, that Constitution is not helping me much, even though it's going to education.
But do you think if you got in a constitutional convention, they're going to look and say, we got too many universities, we need to cut a few back? We can't afford it.
Well,
and our economy can't really afford how much government we are now. Now, let's be blunt.
Please.
The government, our state government, and I know they trickle down a lot of money to local governments. Mm-hmm. And we're going to talk about that in a second segment. But when I look at that, I'm going, hold up just a second. How in the world are you going to go in there and change all that? Bring that back to the people, and they say, hey, we agree 100% with you. It's going to be a lot better model. Because government wants more money. You know they do. This Constitutional Convention is not going to be about less money going to government. And that's the part that bothers me.
And look, let me be clear. A Constitutional Convention, it's not a guaranteed outcome. What it is it drafts a document that goes to the voters, and the voters are going to decide yes or no. So let's say you kill the convention. Let's say we kill it tomorrow, and it never happens. Are you going to tell me that right now you feel good that the Capitol all of a sudden is going to stop raising taxes? They're going to start spending money more wisely?
But I do think,
we have a proven decade-long model, decades.
I agree, and I'm agreeing with that.
Inefficiency and bad outcomes, and so.
But where's like the business community?
Yeah.
Where's the business community getting by and going and taking 4 or 5 amendments and making the changes they need to make? Why don't we get behind some amendments? I don't think we need to go behind closed doors. I think some of this stuff can be done, and a lot of it can be done the same way we got there.
Oh, no, wait, hang on.
Constitutional amendments.
Hang on, I got to challenge you on something.
Okay,
you said you tried the characterization of the convention being the closed doors. Now, hang on, we are living in closed doors right now. Because right now, in that Capitol, I want to question anyone listening right now, how many times have you hung out in that Capitol and watched how the process works? Because I watch it every day. And trust me,
I've been there some, but I don't go as much.
And I'm the one who's watching every day, and I'm saying we need a different process. Right now, we are living in a closed doors process. The way that this convention would work is you would open up the convention, and you would have elections where you would bring in people from outside the system. Look, originally this had 27 insiders. We were one of them going in to draft it, and we said, heck no, we don't need more insiders going into a different room. I want elected delegates from outside of the Capitol to come in and take a fresh look, and then that new document goes to the voters. And if the voters see it and don't like it, hey, let's vote it down.
Well, no, that's the only good thing about it is that we
will
get the vote up and down.
We're going to get there.
But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to come back because I got to take a break.
Yeah, please.
I want to come back with what I think this is really all about, and it's about 4 things. And I think if we get there, these 4 things, at least 3 of them are probably a bad idea.
All right.
But I want to talk about it when we get back. Stephen Waguespack. He is, of course, the CEO of LABI. He wants the Constitutional Convention. A lot of people do. So we'll talk to him in a few minutes when we get back, and we'll have him back on again. Hi, hello. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has that hotline. Stephen Waguespack, my special guest. He's the CEO of LABI, Louisiana Association of Business and Industry. I've been on here many, many times during the years. I've had them all, LeBlanc, Dan Juno, everybody, and I'm glad. I hope you come back. My fears are this, and Senator Vitter will be on Monday. I think once you get in there, I made the comment that I'm worried about somewhat of what big business may do to cut a deal. Let's face it, deals will be made. We'll cut a deal with the big government people, and the things that I think are important are the 2/3 vote on taxes and fees. Are y'all going to take a stand for that? Before you go into it?
We would oppose any effort to unwind that. Absolutely, without question.
But see, I want somebody to say what you're saying.
I'm just saying it.
Because nobody wants to talk about it.
Unequivocally.
But on the flip side, homestead exemption is something when Juno was there they wanted to get rid of. Either all of it or knock 50,000 off of it. And you're going to have to explain that because, to me, I understand it. But I don't want to look at the Texas model because they don't have an income tax. Okay, so it's hard to look at the Texas model. But I know what people are trying to do. They're trying to say, well, let local governments take care of their local business, and they got to have more money, and that's the way they can go get more money. But in our state, with so many poor people, and our economy is not growing, and we don't have businesses burning, that's going to be a tough sell with some people. What I want y'all to do is be honest with it. I'm asking you again, is that a focus for y'all?
Let me be honest with you. So there's 3 ways that government can and traditionally has taxed people. Sales tax, income tax, and property tax.
Correct.
In Texas, as you mentioned, they tax you on property, they tax you on sales, and they don't tax you on income. Here in Louisiana, we tax a little bit of all 3, but the homestead makes the property piece lower of the 3. But you still get taxed on all 3 here, okay? What I would say is, 1, I think the income tax is the most punitive, harmful tax that any government and our government can give. Because I think it punishes hard work, effort, ingenuity, getting up in the morning, going on, putting your boots and going to work, I think that is a harmful tax that punishes investment. So I don't like that income tax. And so if you went into the Constitution and you said, okay, instead of a homestead tax where people would pay more taxes locally, because if you pay a property tax, it stays local. It does not go to Huey's building in Baton Rouge.
Sure.
What I would say then, whatever dollar you pass there, that's what we can cut in the income tax and stop sending to Baton Rouge. So I would say keep your taxes local. If I'm as a taxpayer, am I going to pay taxes?
So you like getting rid of the homestead, but you like getting rid of the income tax.
Only if it's getting rid of the income tax at the same level.
But once again, I'm bringing something up to you nobody's talking about.
Well, we're talking about it right now.
I know, yeah. You with me? When I read your editorial right here, I didn't see nothing about the income tax. I'm trying to get it to fall out, Stephen.
Well, let me tell you why. Because in the convention, I believe that you shouldn't have the same old insiders going in and drafting this document. I want outside perspectives on it. We took ourselves out of the drafting committee. We want independent elections to go in. And so I want a fresh look at this because I think I go around the state a ton, and I know you do too.
No, I know
and I talk to a lot of people who don't have anything to do with the Capitol. And when you start talking about some of the issues we talk about, they're just dumbfounded that people can't see the common sense solutions on some of this. And so I don't want to get too prescriptive of what needs to come in here.
We need, to drive the Constitutional Convention to get people on board, we need to be a little bit out front.
Sure. In Texas, let me just say this real quick if I can. In Texas, since you pay more of your taxes locally, I'm not trying to say we got to copycat Texas because they're different. But in Texas, because you pay more of your taxes locally as compared to sending it to Austin, you're a more engaged taxpayer there. If your schools are bad, your roads are bad, your economies are bad, you see your local government official messing up your money, you hold them accountable at the Walmart or the pharmacy where you see them around town. Here in Louisiana, we send all our money to Baton Rouge, falls into a black hole. We don't really hear much about it unless we're listening to your show or reading something on the newspaper. It's kind of out of sight, out of mind. I think if you're paying taxes local, that's less you got to send to Huey's building, and that way we can get our balance back closer to the people.
I understand the concept. The point I'm making is, I think if you guys would be not honest, I'm not even looking for that. Would just be a little bit more upfront, saying, "Hey, yeah, we want to look at the homestead exemption," but explain it to people.
If the income tax is reduced at the same time, I want to make sure you say that at the same time.
I know, but you're saying it.
That's peanut butter and jelly, man. You can't have one without the other.
You're saying it, but behind the scenes, everybody's doing this wishy-washy stuff. I don't want all that. That's why I think this could really be done with about.
You never asked me the question before.
It could be 4 or 5 amendments up front and do this without having the convention. And then if you're doing that, here's what this amendment does. That's how we passed 189 of them. Here's what this amendment does. Because when the people go to vote, you mentioned about the voters. If people get to vote on this is not one constitutional amendment that this long. This is a freaking book.
That's why I think we've grown more comfortable with a convention is the only way to get holistic change. Because if you try to go with a 5-step amendment right now to try to get us more right size and downgrade the power and patronage out of that Capitol, man, it's a 20-page amendment. And you know what it's like. People go to their ballot box right now. They go look on the wall. They start reading the amendment. They get 3 sentences in. Their eyes glaze over. And they say, I'm voting against that. It sounds tricky. And that's what people do right now. I don't blame them. I don't blame them. Actually,
they say, well, I'll vote yes. I've never seen this. People will vote yes on a constitutional amendment. They'll vote yes on a constitutional amendment and don't even know what it is.
This is a 2010 document, Constitution. I grabbed this out of my office on the way over here. This is the one I had on my desk, 2010 document. And since 2010, there have been 58 amendments to this Constitution. And a third of them have failed. Mm-hmm. 38 of them have passed.
But no, hold on.
If you walk on the street.
You made my point. They vote for them more than they vote against them, and it's going in the Constitution. They don't even know what they're voting for. Actually, I ought to be upset about this.
Well, then why are we defending a document we don't even know what we're putting into it then?
But when you make the whole new document, I think you're going to have a lot of misnomers, too, because, there have been big business people out there. Look, there's nobody more pro-business than me. Big, small, I don't care. I love them all. Let's get the government out of the way. But you got a lot of business people saying, I'll put $10 million up to pass this. That's going to be kind of a... What if it's a bad document, and then all of a sudden we got $10 million being spent on telling people how great it is?
And
that worries me.
No, I'm not hearing you. But look, big business isn't really what's driving this effort, to be honest with you. If you look over the last couple of years, who have the taxes hit? Obviously, business has been hit hard the last couple of years. But when you start taxing things like utilities, MM&E, operating losses, those things hit small business harder. I'll be honest with you. The big guys can go and adjust. They can go to another state, and they can bring their jobs elsewhere. It's easy for them. Those small guys are the ones that are getting hit with all these taxes in the past last couple of years.
I'm one of the small ones, and I'm telling you, when I read in newspapers, I'm not saying you wrote it, we need to bring back Stelly. That was a slap in the face to small business.
Oh, I can promise you did not see me write that.
Oh, I know that, but it's a slap in the face to small businesses like me and people that itemize.
I got
in the face.
I got $10 on the table if you can find me writing that anywhere in the history of time.
Oh, I can't do that. I can tell you right now, I can go back to the general years and find out why they didn't want to get rid of the Staley bill, and then they ended up jumping on the bandwagon. I could get you on that one. And I don't know where you were at the time.
My $10 are still on the table.
Well, look, if it make you feel better, I just give you $10.
I don't want your money, man.
I just think term limits is something I think they're going to look at, too, and the excess itemized deductions, I think it's still about $666 million on the table. Those are the type things that I want people to bring forward and talk about it so we'll know what we're talking about here. I haven't read one article, including yours, that gave any specifics.
Yeah.
When I read your artital, tell Brandon,
you got notes on it and everything. Look at that.
Well, actually, I put Jay Dorn right there, and I don't
my
want to talk
God.
By the way, you cannot look at my notes because my notes could be for something else. And you just have to be on the top.
Yeah, I see a cookie recipe on there. I don't know what that's all about.
No, but seriously, I don't think it's a good time to do it. I do think it's a good time to talk about it. I do think we can talk about it. I think amendments could fix it.
No, I hear you.
If amendments drove it into the ground, amendments can fix it.
And look, I'm not trying to say that's not a valid perspective. I mean, I don't necessarily disagree with you. I would also say it's a valid perspective to say, look, let's say we don't amend this Constitution. We don't have a convention of any sort whatsoever. Let's not pretend like we got a great model going right now. It is a broken model.
One other thing, let you comment real quick. If you have a government spending problem and your economy's growing, a government's growing twice the economy, you're going to always have a problem. You can amend this Constitution all you want to. You're never going to fix a spending problem. Try it at home. Try it at home. Take all your bills and put them over and consolidate them, and it frees up money, and then start charging things again. It doesn't work.
Look, not only do I agree with that, and you find someone who's been pounding hard over the last couple of years trying to control spending. We've been pounding that rock for years. Man, the needle's not moving. The needle's not moving. Hey, let me get to your 2 points. One, term limits. Support them, want them to stay. I think they've been more good than bad, so we think we support those term limits. 2, excess itemized. What I would tell you is there's a lot of exemptions in the code. They need to go to be lowering rates, not inflating government.
Thank you. We'll do it again.
Awesome.
David Vitter on Monday. We'll see you tomorrow.
See you.